Medalist in the breaststroke, and I'm gonna teach you some breaststroke today. Hopefully you learned something. So in breaststroke, there's basically two things really important. First thing is a nice streamline. So when you're swimming breaststroke, you don't actually need to have your hands on top of each other. This is fine, but you wanna be nice and tall, head nice between your arms, and you want to stay really nice and tall in the water. What works to think about is if someone is pulling at your head. So when someone would pull at your head, like for example, there's a little rope attached to your head and it pulls you tight, you make yourself extremely tall. You tuck your chin in a little bit. That's a nice streamline. Basically it's for every stroke, but more for breaststroke even. The next part, which is super important in breaststroke, is having really engaged core and stay high on the water. If you have those two things covered, you'll definitely improve a lot in breaststroke. So we're gonna start on the actual kick today. And in kick, me and my coach, Mark, we always thought about how the kick would be the best. And we came up with this thing and we called the Swiss ball theory. So for example, if you have a Swiss ball, which is round, if you're moving over, you're not moving over straight. Because if you have a Swiss ball and you're sitting here, you're rolling over it like a wave. So this movement is also what you want to do in breaststroke kick when you're swimming. But then if you're looking at it like this will be your feet. So your feet will kick downwards. That means the power you put in moves up and basically get your hip up. So your hips will almost come out of the water. And then because you have to roll through it, your head and your arms will also go forward a little bit downwards. Of course, you don't want to dive down too much. So what you're trying to do is make this a little bit more straight and forward. But this is the general movement of kicking in breaststroke. So what you want to do is when you close your kick, you want to close them down almost as far as down as possible. That will automatically move your hip up. And if your core is engaged, you can get that through your body, through your nice streamline, and you get a lot of speed movement, and then you get a nice long glide forward. Second thing, which is also really important in breaststroke, maybe a bit more in full swimming, is with your head, you don't want to move up with your head and then dive down. This feels super quick because your head here is still, because you're up all super high and then you just throw your head forward. It feels really quick because you go from 0 speed to a lot of speed, but actual speed is faster if you have a constant speed. So you almost want to have your head at a 45-degree angle forward and your body. It might feel slower, but in the end, it's a lot quicker to do it that way. Now, because you want to do this exercise relaxed. So because if you're not relaxed enough, you can't do that movement. If you're not relaxed enough in your hips and you're pretty stiff, you can't go up and down and the nice Swiss ball movements. So what I see with Adam, Siobhan and Jan, I see a really nice Swiss ball movement, and with you guys I see really, you guys are really high on the water, you do it amazing, but then you're trying a bit too hard. So then your kicking is a bit, you're working against the water instead of with the water. So you're not really using that movement. So try to exaggerate a bit more, try to make the movement bigger. So try to, for your feeling, have your feet close almost on the bottom, drag upon the water, and then have your hips all the way out of the water. Because now, for Sol, for example, your hips maybe shift this much, well, I want them to shift this much between up and down. So another 50 like this. Now the next one we're gonna do, still with snorkel, arms in streamline. And we're basically gonna do the same thing. So try to stay high on the water, do the kick. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult to move the hips because you're in streamline, but try to do still the same with the Swiss ball movement. Not a 50. Now we're gonna try and put it into a full stroke. So one of my exercises I was doing the most is free kick to full stroke. And I'm gonna show you how I do it. But basically free kicks, just like we were doing, nice and streamlined without the snorkel this time. So you breathe every time. I'll show you how I do it. And then basically in the same rhythm, you're trying to do 2 full strokes and try to see it's hard if you can still get the feet down, your hips up, while you do your arms as well. Two kick, 2 full stroke, and just do a 50 and swim continuously like this. So we're gonna do a bit more swimming, a little less kicking. Try to get the head position right and try to get your hips really high over so you actually dive forward and you use all that speed and the movement forward. Starting to look like some breaststroke for some guys. So, flutter kick, not a 50. I want you to do 1 normal breaststroke pull, just your normal wide one. But the next one, I'm gonna do a pull where it's basically your hands are almost completely touching, and then bring it back. So wide, small, wide, small. Perfect, this was good, don't change anything. Next part of the pull, which is a really important part and hard to do, is basically anyone can do this, but how do you, if you're here, bring it back to the front? That's where most people are struggling. That's a combination of having a strong core, so when you're here your core is strong, to have the right timing to go forward, but also you want to pull water here. Even though you're here, with this movement you can still generate power moving forward. So to start with that, we're just gonna do some skull, mid skull. Try to get power in and then easy out. Power in, easy out. Just skull like this. You can keep your fins on, use a snorkel. We do a 50 like this. Power in, easy out. and actually try to have it on the 90 degrees. So it's next to your shoulders, have it at 90 degrees, arms pointing straight down. Powerful in, easy out. Stroke pull, but a flutter kick. But now really focus on, I don't care if your pull is strong or weak or slow or fast. Focus on the moment you're here, try to do that in sweep. So get your elbows up to your body, and it's okay for this time, it's okay to get really high out of the water with your head, to go really up and then forward. So forget a little bit about the constant forward. Right now, I want you to do the in sweep and go really out of the water. So really build a lot of pressure here before you dive forward. So now we're gonna try and bring it more towards a normal stroke. So what we've tried is we did the kick with the nice Swiss ball movement, which I still see everyone doing on this one, so I was impressed on that one. Second thing we did was the pull, the wide and the small one, so you get a nice feeling on your hands where to pull, how to pull. So I want to see that back. And now we also tried the squeezing, so I want to see that back, but then without the coming up too high or whatever. Try to now have the body position back again, try to have the constant moving forward at the 45-degree angle, and then bring it all together. It's gonna be a lot, I ask a lot of you, but try and see if everything we've done now you can bring together. So pull nice on those hands, squeeze, and then when you dive forward, get that hips nice up and move the feet all the way down. Hi, I'm Arno Kaminga. I'm Olympic medalist in the breaststroke, and I'm going to teach you some breaststroke today. Hopefully you learned something. So in breaststroke, there's basically two things really important. First thing is a nice streamline. So when you're swimming breaststroke, you don't actually need to have your hands on top of each other. This is fine, but you want to be nice and tall, head nice between your arms, and you want to stay really nice and tall in the water. What works to think about is if someone is pulling at your head. So when someone would pull at your head, like for example, there's a little rope attached to your head and it pulls you tight, you make yourself extremely tall. You tuck your chin in a little bit. That's a nice streamline. Basically it's for every stroke, but more for breaststroke even. The next part, which is super important in breaststroke, is having really engaged core and stay high on the water. If you have those two things covered, you'll definitely improve a lot in breaststroke. So we're gonna start on the actual kick today. And in kick, me and my coach, Mark, we always thought about how the kick would be the best. And we came up with this thing and we called the Swiss ball theory. So for example, if you have a Swiss ball, which is round, if you're moving over, you're not moving over straight. Because if you have a Swiss ball and you're sitting here, you're rolling over it like a wave. So this movement is also what you want to do in breaststroke kick.